Welcome to Best Picture This, where it is always Oscar season. I'm Mike.
And I'm Brian. In this show, we reevaluate every Best Picture nominee from the 21st century and decide whether to keep it or kick it from its Oscar pedestal.
But we don't kick it in a mean way, Brian. We kick it politely, dignified, but everyone really knows what we mean, that it's kind of a brutal takedown, and, you know, we had that plausible deniability, and that's what makes us upper class.
Is plausible deniability equals upper class?
Exactly.
Are we trashing the movie or the Oscars?
In 2001,
if we kick it.
In 2001, the nominees for Best Picture were Moulin Rouge, Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, In the Bedroom, the year's winner, A Beautiful Mind, and today's movie, Gosford Park, directed by Robert Altman. Here's the trailer.
At the country house of Sir William McCordle, the guests are wealthy.
If I wanted coffee, I'd have rung for it.
He thinks he's God Almighty. They all do.
Privileged.
Ooh, yummy.
What's she like to work for?
She's a snobbish cow.
Famous.
Mr. Weissman's very odd. Apparently, he produces motion pictures.
Hello, I'm Morris Wiseman.
Who?
The servants are loyal.
I just wanted to be sure you had everything you need.
Discreet.
You shouldn't sneak up on people like that.
Don't worry, it's nobody.
Devoted.
Thank you. Oh, you've got some hair on your dress.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Weissman, tell us about the film you're going to make.
It's a detective story. Murder in the middle of the night, a lot of guests for the weekend, everyone's a suspect.
And who turns out to have done it?
Oh, I couldn't tell you that. It would spoil it for you.
Oh, but none of us will see it.
Why would anyone want to kill him?
Well, he wasn't exactly Father Christmas.
I think he's got something to hide, that one.
Do you think he's a murderer?
It's worse than that. He's an actor.
What about that low bullet that nearly killed him that morning they were out?
Sir, we haven't dusted those things for fingerprints yet.
Good.
USA Films presents a film by Robert Altman.
I was just wondering if you wanted some company.
I suppose life must go on.
Alan Bates, Stephen Fry, Michael Gambon, Derek Jacobi, Kelly MacDonald, Helen Mirren, Jeremy Northam, Clive Owen, Ryan Phillippe, Kristen Scott Thomas, Maggie Smith, Emily Watson.
Tough luck on whoever's got any secrets to hide.
How horrid.
Gosford Park.
Perhaps the butler did it.
Like Clue, perhaps the butler did it.
Maybe. So, did you notice at the end, Mike, the closing credits? Are you a watch till the end of the credits kind of guy?
No. God, no.
What?
I've got things to
I
do.
figured you would be.
No, I go to sleep.
I'm totally a closing credits person.
Wait, so you sit and watch the entire
I always
credits?
did. Like my dad was, and so I always thought that was like the right thing to do. You sit in the theater until you're the last one there. My family has been somewhat less patient with that, and so I've kind of gotten out of the habit, but I do like watching to the end of the credits.
Wow.
In this movie, at the end of the credits, it does not have something that many movies do, and that is the statement, no animals were harmed in the filming of this movie.
Because the birds.
Because the birds actually were killed.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that? Do you feel like that's good for movie making? Doesn't matter?
Did they eat the birds?
That's what I keep telling myself. Maybe they did.
Yeah, they had a nice
They probably
cast
did.
dinner with the
A cast
pheasant
dinner.
or
I like
whatever
the
it
idea
was.
of a cast dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosford Park was nominated for Best Picture. It was also nominated for Best Actress in a Supporting Role, Helen Mirren, who is phenomenal in the movie. Maggie Smith, also nominated for Best Supporting Actress. That's kind of unusual, 2 supporting in 1 movie. Best Director, Robert Altman, who sadly did not win yet again. Best Art Direction and Best Costume Design, also nominated. It did win for Original Screenplay, Julian Fellows. Robert Altman did win the Golden Globe, by the way, for the Best for Best Director. This was the 5th time that Altman was nominated for Best Director, winning 0.
Wow.
He died in 2006. The movie was also, so Robert Altman's other movies, Shortcuts, The Player, Nashville, MASH, were also nominated for Best Director. So coming up in the show, we'll offer our golden takes. We'll talk trivia. We'll do listener comments and the big reveal. Will you keep it or kick it from its Oscar pedestal, Michael?
Yeah, I thought you were asking me there for,
Well, I sort
for
of
a
am,
second.
yeah. I thought
I'm not going to tell you yet. I'm going to hold that toward the end. But I will tell you my best directing moment.
Okay, go ahead.
If you want to hear that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with that music sequence you have, so basically during the dinner party here, we have an actor here.
Yes, the music sequence.
Yes.
The songs by Jeremy Northam, the actor. The actor playing the music, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. So the actor here is at a dinner party and
Tremendous.
they ask him, hey, will you play some music on the piano? And what we get is this sequence about 2 to 3 full songs long, right?
It's a lot of singing.
Yeah, of him playing and the house reacting. Basically, that's the entire sequence. And that sequence not only features the murder, but I kind of feel like we learn more about how the house operates and about the characters in that house from this sequence than we do in a lot of the other scenes, which is, I mean, this is a dialogue-packed movie, right?
It is. I would like to know how many pages the script was.
Because
it's a 2-hour movie, so you'd think 110, 115, 120 pages. I bet it was longer than that, but I'll have to check it out later.
Yeah. So during the sequence, we see all these servants sort of like sneaking outside of the room, and they're listening to the music. I mean, some of their bosses let them, and they're kind of sitting on the stairs appreciating, and then other bosses don't, and there's sort of some politicking about that. But it's really the first time in the movie that we see any of these characters enjoy something. I think the rest of it is so passive aggressive. Everybody's being, or outwardly, aggressive and rude. And there's kind of a mixture of that. But this, we get a break from all of that, which I appreciated. But you kind of see that through this music, everybody in the house is united for the first time, through their appreciation.
All the servants are. I mean, the people upstairs are kind of like being jerky.
They're
like
rolling their
Maggie
eyes like they
Smith
do the
is
rest of the movie.
Doing the kind of polite golf clap, like, please don't encourage him. I thought that was pretty hilarious because he does a good job singing.
But there are some of the people above the stairs who are enjoying the music too. There's the woman who's sitting on the piano with him, and she's she loves it. She's just enamored with the whole Hollywood thing. But I don't know, with a movie that's crammed this full of dialogue, I really appreciated how we got a scene that, I mean, I think tells us way more than those dialogue scenes do, and there's really no dialogue in it at all. And the dialogue that is there is kind of hushed and sort of hardly audible beneath the music.
I get the sense that in that statement you just made was a sort of a passive aggressive attack.
I learned a lot from this movie.
Julian Fellows and his script. Are you saying the dialogue did not tell enough about the characters? I think this movie is so masterfully written. I've only seen it the one time.
Yeah, this is my first time too.
But I really want to go and watch it again. And I did like Downton Abbey.
Haven't seen it.
I haven't seen all of it, but I saw it. I mean, it's pretty long.
Yeah,
there's a lot of episodes.
It's a commitment for sure.
Yeah, I don't do commitments very well. So my directing moment was the sort of the style of the movie overall, the multiple layered shots. So for example, at the dinner scenes, which there are a few kind of, in and out of it, and you're upstairs and downstairs for the dinner scenes.
Yeah.
You always see things in the foreground there. You see the candlesticks, sort of like you're looking at people through the candlesticks across the table. You're not ever like in their lap or on their plate. You're looking at them through other things. And then there's a lot of shots where you're looking through a window in a door, or through another window. You see two people talking, and then in the background you see other people walking around. There's always lots of layers of people moving around, and it illustrates the whole idea of like gossip is a big deal in this movie, upstairs and downstairs, and it's always about like, looking at other people's lives. So, and there's this anxiety about what other people's lives are all about and what they're doing. On IMDb, there's a note that said that the camera is always moving in every shot. And that's Robert Altman's at his direction. So you don't get any stills. And that illustrates the motion of the movie too. And then in the group scenes, Robert Altman had 2 cameras going at all times, and they would be moving in and out all the time. So the idea was that you would not like have the actor saying, okay, act for the camera here. It would always be like simulating an actual dinner scene.
Yeah.
So it was more natural that way.
And that fills the backgrounds, and it makes the house feel more alive. It feels like you're kind of just, as a bystander watching people at a party, right?
It does. Best writing moment.
My best writing moment is going to be Helen Mirren in sort of the final, I don't know if you want to call it the chamber sequence, but she's sort of explaining something important toward the end of the movie. And I don't know, this movie changes direction a lot of times, where it kind of is The first act, it's kind of like a comedy of manners almost. You're just sort of meeting people, and then the second act, it kind of becomes a murder mystery. You know, it sort of transforms from being about class to being about mystery. You know, we heard in the trailer that he's describing a detective story, and that's kind of what this movie becomes. But I think that her dialogue in this scene, this conversation, changes it again to, in a weird way, a story about love. And it's that relationship that's built on is something that we didn't know of.
Love or lack thereof.
Yes. And the rest of the movie, there's no warmth at all. And this is kind of, we get warmth in this scene, but in a cold way. You know, she's so detached from her emotion. She doesn't let herself feel anything.
It's a really heartbreaking scene. This is also my writing moment, where Helen Mirren's character, we know that she has poisoned. Spoiler alert!
No, I wasn't going to say.
You got to. It's 20 years old.
I was trying to talk around it.
I know. Well, oh well.
Oh, it's too late now.
It's too late now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Pause and go watch the movie and then return. So, but it's key to the clip that we're going to hear, because she explains what happens, and the anticipation. It's like this superpower that she had. So Mark Gilliland, our producer from WNZF. Thank you, Mark. We'll get the clip here ready in just a second. But Helen Mirren almost seems to have this superpower that she anticipated a murder by someone she didn't even really know. But she was so sure of her ability to anticipate it that she kills him ahead of time. It's like, it's so unbelievable in a way, but it's like it's sold so perfectly by the acting, and I think the writing is like, it is so detached, it's so cold, but you kind of like believe it, in part because it's kind of oblique too. Like, she doesn't come out and actually say it, but here's the clip.
But even if Robert is your son, how did you know that he meant to harm his father?
What gift do you think a good servant has that separates them from the others? It's the gift of anticipation. And I'm a good servant. I'm better than good. I'm the best. I'm the perfect servant. I know when they'll be hungry and the food is ready. I know when they'll be tired and the bed is turned down. I know it before they know it themselves.
Yeah, so I just love that line. I think it's such a great kind of reveal moment. So does her character have a superpower? Is this a superhero movie, Mike?
Is it a superhero movie? No. I just think that she's been bred in this environment, and this is all that she knows. Right after that clip ends, she sort of says, "I'm the perfect servant." That basically means that I have no life. Her life is this job, and that's kind of given her a particular set of skills, kind of like Liam Neeson in Taken. This is a very similar movie to Taken, wouldn't you say?
I haven't seen Taken.
Okay, it's not then. That joke fell flat because that's an action movie, and this is a movie about inaction.
I should have laughed just pretending.
You should have.
I'm sorry about that.
But what I like about this scene is that Altman sort of forces us to focus on structure with the way that he sets up the murder mystery in the first place.
But the structure is totally wrong for a murder mystery also. I mean, I actually really liked the movie. I'm not going to totally give it away if I'm going to keep it or kick it. But I watched this with my older children. Mm-hmm. And
did they hate it?
They were bored out of their minds. They were going to their phones, immediately.
Yep.
And I was being patient. It was slow at the beginning, in part because of an expectation you have going into a movie. If it's a murder mystery, the murder doesn't happen at the end. It wasn't even in the second act. You said it was second act. I think it was third act that the murder happens.
I would argue that the second act starts like an hour in. That's one of the things I think is kind of interesting. Like the entire first hour of this movie is just meeting the people in this house.
I think that, to me, that is kind of a flaw with the movie. I mean, I think that it is too long at the beginning. There's so many little details of it that don't help us get to the murder mystery, which kind of shows that it's not all just about a murder mystery.
Yeah, I'd argue it's not about the murder at all.
But I told my children when they were getting restless, don't worry, the murder is going to happen in about 3 minutes, because I thought it was going to be at the beginning of the second act, which is about 25 minutes in, according to film theory, right?
The inciting incident always about
minutes.
30 minutes in, and so this one doesn't happen until long after that.
And so I was totally made a liar by Julian Fellows, the Academy Award-winning screenplay writer. So anyway, here's one point that I wanted to make too.
Okay.
Affairs throughout the story seem to be all about fun and games. You know, Kristen Scott Thomas, Ryan Philippe. It's kind of jokey how he's going to go in and sleep with her and you know, have this little tryst. But yet at the end, that's what the heartache is all about. Helen Mirren's character also was kind of, you know, victimized by, okay, she also, you know, was having this affair with the owner of the house. And what happens when you have these affairs? Sometimes you have children, and she has been carrying this with her for decades, to the point where that's essentially the grand reveal. And I was wondering, like, are we supposed to connect that? Or is that sort of a little bit oblivious, that connection? Am I looking too far into that?
Maybe you're supposed to connect it, but I didn't think that the affairs were fun or funny. I saw them as very dark, because Ryan Phillippe almost rapes a servant at one point, like out of nowhere for no reason.
Yeah, that's true.
And then Clive Owen's character comes in and sort of that stops the whole interaction. Clive Owen doesn't do anything about it. Nobody in this movie really does anything about it aside from the murder.
That's just how life is in the servant world.
And Ryan Phillippe is actually an actor pretending to be a servant, and he only sleeps with that woman because she kind of sort of makes him. She like orders him to come up. You know, I'll be awake at 1 p.m. doing nothing. I'll be so bored. But because of her station in life, she kind of has the power to order him to do that. And I don't know. There's just a lot of sexual power plays in this,
true.
and I saw them all as very dark. And you were laughing.
I thought they were fun. No, just kidding. What's your golden take, Mike?
Okay, well, first of all, there's a scene here where we see a guy eat jam straight from the jar with a spoon, and there is a murder in this movie, and that is the most horrendous part. It's
jam
horrific.
With the spoon?
Eating jam out of a jar with a spoon, I can't think of anything worse.
I kept thinking of Jodie Foster doing this in Taxi Driver.
Ugh, maybe I missed that.
She does the same thing.
I don't even think I noticed. Maybe that movie's better and I was distracted and didn't notice the jam. My second golden take, that was my first one.
You call that a golden take?
It was golden, Bri. The jam thing, disgusting. I'm not sure what this movie's about. That's my golden take. The obvious thing is that it's about class, right? The upper class depends on the lower class. The dynamic between the servant and the boss is our introduction to the movie. You know, opening the thermos in the rain, having to pull the car over to walk out in the rain to open up this woman's thermos because she wants the drink. We're supposed to be thinking about class from the very first scene, and we do throughout. But the movie is also about appearances and a lack of authenticity, and that's where the polite society things comes up that I was talking about earlier. We see so many examples here of characters working their aggression out in destructive ways, whether it's hunting or gossip. But then there are themes about a country post-war and like what it means to be a patriot, what you contribute, shame and guilt. I already brought up the sexual power plays before, and a movie about movies.
Yeah.
At times you have an actor, you have a director, and you have a producer who are all characters in this movie. It's only a murder mystery because the producer pretty much speaks that plot into existence. So then there's a meta element, and we're kind of thinking, what does it mean? What does this murder mystery mean in this context? Why is the inspector the worst inspector of all time? The guy says
quite ridiculous.
The guy's like, there are muddy footprints here, and the inspector's like, would you shut up and let me focus? It's ridiculous. So I don't know. To be honest, there's just a lot going on, and I see that thematic approach as a link between Altman's visual approach, how you mentioned earlier about how he frames these scenes, and there's so much going on that we're supposed to pick kind of bits and pieces. We could watch what interaction we want to watch in a given scene instead of him saying, this is the important one here, focus on that. And I don't know. I just felt like the end result is kind of surface.
So you don't like movies that have kind of disconnected, seemingly unrelated parts that go together? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Are you trying to allude to our bonus episode that we're going to be doing later on Mulholland Drive?
Mulholland Drive.
Different movies, Brian.
They're both about movies, right?
Mulholland Drive definitely is. This one. This one pretends to be. And I don't think that it actually is.
My golden take is, my question is, why is the movie business in this movie at all? I happen to love the movie more because the movie business is in it. Okay, so that has to be said at the beginning. But Moulin Rouge, we just watched that one. Just had an episode about that. Also nominated for Best Picture this year. Self-consciously a musical about musicals. This is a British dinner party murder mystery about British dinner party murder mysteries, because the movie element kind of makes it about that. It's talking about the elements of it. it's joking about the conventions at the same time that it's using them all to a fresh dramatic effect. That's kind of the magic of postmodernism. And I think it's brilliantly done. So when Jeremy Northam, playing the actor who's in Weissman's movies, you talked about this, plays music for everyone, all the servants are secretly watching. They're hiding in the shadows. They're quietly dancing even. And you realize that they've never had any diversion in life. Mm-hmm. Well, I think that essentially that shows the movies are their diversion, just like the movies are our diversion. And we sympathize with the servants more because of that. We can relate to them because we love the movies too. So I thought it was kind of like a praising of what movies can do for us.
Wow.
It's not the first movie that Robert Altman has made about the movie business. The Player, I've not seen The Player, 1993. Mm-mm. Planning to watch that one now. But Charlie Rose, the great Charlie Rose,
comes up every episode.
Talked to Robert Altman about his movies and said that he was making satire and black comedy. That's what Robert Altman was making up to The Player. So Robert Altman says, we teach our children to admire people who make money. Unless they get put in jail, these guys who make billions, they're our heroes. He said, the business of the film business is a crapshoot. He said, I can't do a satire about anything unless I'm at the heart of it. Otherwise, it's propaganda, which I thought was a pretty good quote.
But he's not at the heart of it. He's an American making a movie about Britain.
Yeah, but he's talking about the business of movies. So he's in the movie business.
Is he, though? I don't know.
Robert Altman's not in the movie business?
No, he is. I'm saying, is this movie a movie about the movie? I mean, maybe you can make the case, too, that the celebrities nowadays are our above the stairs, upper class. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I mean, I'm on an island with this movie because looking at the reviews, it's like everybody seemed to love it at the time. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was because the sound. I had a really hard. I don't know about you. I had a really hard time with the sound.
There were times when the dialogue was kind of hard. Was hard to catch.
Yeah,
sure.
And I think that's partly because of how we.
Do you
shoot
like watching with subtitles on?
I hate it.
Me too.
I hate that. But there's so much crosstalk in the movie, sort of on purpose, and that kind of feeds the authenticity, the realism of those scenes. It makes the frames feel full. But yeah, I don't know. I found it hard to follow.
I do think that it invites a second watch, and to me, I feel I would be rewarded by a second watch. I'm guessing sounds like you don't. Trivia: Downton Abbey was written by Julian Fellows. You like my transitions?
Yeah.
Downton Abbey was originally planned as a spinoff for this movie, which I thought was interesting. Mm-hmm. Fellows created The Gilded Age he's working on The Gilded Age, a 10-episode show set in early 1900s in New York City. I think he's still working on it. It might be that IMDb trivia was outdated.
Maybe.
I'm not sure.
Maybe.
I can't remember where I got that one. It might have been from Wikipedia. So here's a cool thing about Julian Fellows. In 1990, he meets a woman. He proposes to her 20 minutes after meeting her.
Ugh.
And he said that he spent the first 19 minutes getting up the nerve because he just knew. That's beautiful. He's still married to her.
I think it's horrible.
That's awesome.
That's the worst.
Bob Balaban, who's the Weissman character, the movie director, he recommended to Robert Altman that Julian Fellows should write it. So he writes 75 pages in 6 weeks, and it was clear that it was like this brilliant screenplay. He's like a workaholic, I guess. Maggie Smith. I looked up some Maggie Smith. She appeared in her first film in 1956.
Wow.
She's been doing this for a long time. She has received 18 BAFTA and film and TV acting nominations. Let's see. So interesting. We did The Green Mile some episodes ago. I thought it was kind of interesting how they made some accommodations because the song that's in it or the movie that's in it was they had to change the year of when the movie was made, and they had to do that with this. They had to accommodate some songs, like some songs were not the songs that Jeremy Northam sings were like out of order or in the wrong years. Jude Law was going to be Henry Denton, but Ryan Phillippe became got into the role. So Kenneth Branagh was going to be the inspector, but he had to back out. So, do we have any listener letters?
No letters today.
All right.
No letters today.
So, do you keep it or kick it, Mike?
It's an easy one. I'm kicking it.
I think it's an easy one. I'm keeping it.
Oh, man.
I really liked it. The acting was tremendous. Helen Mirren, that moment.
That is the best moment in the film. And
that's worth keeping it just for that moment.
That's so short.
Builds up.
That's like 5 great minutes.
The writing, there's so many one-liners. It's so snappy.
See, that's what
so
I don't
great.
like about it.
I love
the
one-liners.
one-liners. I just feel like the movie is sort of built on all of these rules and all. I don't really like dramas and comedies of manners. I don't like them. They feel very stifling to me. I'm not sure. Maybe I just don't like ensemble casts either. I like to spend time with a character and understand them.
It's interesting to go from a movie like that where there's so many characters, and then some of the the Castaway type movies that we've talked about.
Even In the Bedroom, which we'll watch.
Yeah.
A couple. That's
it's like two people basically the whole time.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, it feels stifling in a way that doesn't feel exciting dramatically to me. So I just kind of find it dry. I never connected.
2001 is very, very tough year to pick your top 5, but I'm going to keep it for now. Who knows? Maybe I'll kick it later, but I'm going to keep it. In the next episode, we do talk about In the Bedroom. It's a family drama about murder, marriage. It's directed by Todd Stahl. Todd Wilkinson, Sissy Spacek, Marissa Tomei are terrific in this movie.
Yeah, and we want to hear from you. Tell us about the coolest or most embarrassing piece of pop memorabilia that you had in your bedroom when you were a kid. That's what the movie's about, right?
No.
That kind of stuff. Tell
us the person you secretly wanted to kill. No, sorry.
Wow. Tell us and we'll read your answers on the show. You can find us at bestpicturethis.com or on Facebook and Twitter at bestpicturethis.
Until next time, Mike, I just want to let you know that you might act like you belong downstairs, but in my mind, you're upstairs.
That's really sweet of you, Brad.